Innovation and technology shaping the future. The world will change and you will have to get ready. My name is Jose Vigil. I am an industrial designer. I work as a software developer. I learned software developer on my own. I'm also an entrepreneur. If anybody knows the word entrepreneur, it's a French word that means somebody who starts his own business. I'm the father of Clemente. He's in 4th year, and I will be available for you to contact me anytime through social networking, or my contact's going to be here in the administration. We're going to go through technology and some kind of future forecasting that you will probably have to face within your professional career. Why I'm here? First of all, I belong to this community. I was raised around this neighborhood and I lived here. I was trying to get back to where I belong. We are starting a series of talks that we are making with Esteban Bodner for ex-students. So this is kind of a call to action for those who have been through the school and would like to talk to students. Some of you are gonna be graduating at the end of the year, and some of you next year. Am I correct? Okay. Do you understand what I'm speaking? It's okay? Perfect. I was raised around here. I used to live 1 block from here when I was very little. Then I moved to Vergara and Nicochea. My parents are actually living here, a block from here, and I came back to the neighborhood just about last December. I had great influences when I was in school, especially with Nick Mudding, who already passed away. He was the previous headmaster. And around him with Nigel Roberts, who was an English teacher, and Marcos Husalet, who was my best friend and lived in front of me. My professional experience, after I graduated, from school I started working on the information technology business. This is systems, supporting my studies. I worked for a company that made internet installations in Macintosh and Apple. And then I started doing help desk, which is in a company laboratories, for example, that I kept people fixing their computers, the mouse, the printer, the monitor, the CPU, and I had to be very careful in the treatment and very, in a very polite way, not getting crazy when they lost the files and stuff. Then I grew in that profession and became a LAN administrator, which was handling big servers and very expensive computers within a trade union medical facility. By that time I graduated in UBA, and I thought I should do something like related to design, so I moved completely to software development. And development, there is a very close relationship between industrial design and digital design. So I kept all what I knew from the industrial design, all the concepts on how to polish and create a product, and moved into technology. So I had to start coding, and that's a training and an experience I did on my own, and that's something that anybody can do anytime. In programming does not mean that you need to be young and powerful. Anybody can do it, and nowadays things are very, very much easier to do. Mm-hmm. So then I was confident about ideas and technology, so I started creating my own projects. The first project I created was a pointer that could control the cell phone. This was very early when the first Android came up. So I assembled a team of people from kind of around the world. I made contact with a German, very smart guy, German, and with people from India and the US. We built this great thing that had a pretty good traction. At the beginning, we had about 30,000 users downloaded and using it. Then we came across a technical issue that would not allow us to install the application on new cell phones, so we had to stop, and that was the end of it. Then I continued with the idea of trying to make something better for the interface. I still believe that the interface of the cell phones is downside and has to improve a lot. So I started working with gestures, which is making a drawing and trigger an action in the cell phone, and this was a software for developers to integrate gestures in their applications. The program was called GestureKit, and I was lucky enough to get an investor, and who is Christian Nissan, a friend and somebody who I love. And I went to the US and presented the product in Berkeley University. It was a very interesting experience. Silicon Valley is something kind of amazing for those who are willing to start a company. And unfortunately, the business didn't leverage, and I was not able to get money from the users that were at least using it, so I also had to stop. And this is the true story of those who are willing to start something. Usually, failing is not the word. Usually, businesses do not wake up, let's say. And that's natural and happens in 90% of the time that somebody starts something with technology. Usually we see the big stories. Well, that story is an isolation of a reality from which is completely different from what is all the rest of the world facing. I will further get deeper into entrepreneurship afterwards, but I'm currently working in a payment company, doing credit card payment on the cell phone and applications on Android. I'm an Android specialist. Does anybody know Android, right?
Yes.
Yeah. You use Android or iPhone?
Android.
Very good. Well, I develop for both. I can develop for Android and iPhone, and I must say that developing is it's amazing because you can reach really any audience you like, any world, any. I mean, you can forward to any place in the world. You can develop an application for India and launch it in India if you want. But it has some side effects of kind of getting into an introspective way of being, which is too much thinking, too much into the application, and too much responsibility on something. Sometimes makes you feel like not being communicative at all with anybody. Am I being understood? Okay. And that is kind of a downside from this discipline or job or whatever you can call it. But then on the other side, if you're creative and you're good enough, it's like an amazing moment for those who are willing to forward with that type of profession. I believe that learning is one of the key parts, and we're going to go further in that subject too. So, finishing with myself and to continue with you guys. I don't know if I should tell you guys, boys, or how should I tell you guys? It's okay? Guys, okay. My dream is to talk about what I've done, to demonstrate an efficient business model with my own software company. Demonstrate an efficient business model is something that very few people do, and it's very difficult, which means that from an idea of your own, you can find somebody that is willing to use your software but not only willing to use it, willing to pay for it. Maybe thousands of people can use software which is free, but paying for a software is a radically different thing than using it, and involves putting a credit card and have a different commitment with the application that you're using. And my ultimate goal would say to get the industrial design knowledge that I have and put it to the service of the software and merge that and create hardware. And hardware is something that you find very simple and easy to buy, but it's really a miracle to accomplish if you are from the other side. If you're willing to develop hardware, it's kind of impossible. You need a huge backup of financial backup, because there has to be, you have to go to the store and give 500 units, and for that you have to make an order of 2 million units. So those who are willing to make an order of 1 million units for 1 million touchscreen devices, or the chassis or whatever, you need a lot of money. So I think software, in my case, is the driver for me to reach that hardware, if it's going to happen. Maybe not. I'm very passionate about this, and I truly believe that if you are passionate about something and you are committed and you keep on working on it, at some extent you will find it, or that thing will find you. So, now it's your turn. Some of you will have to do this, which is make a decision. Make a decision of life, and make a decision of what you're going to do outside the real world. And I was in your spot and in your place, and at some extent, this is the way I felt, and this is the way you might feel now. Strong, confident. The world is like kind of something you will go through very easily, and it's a perfect attitude that you should keep as much as you can. Being positive and being productive towards the future is kind of the best way of thinking. Unfortunately, life brings you through different scenarios that causes, in some cases, a pain or a counter reaction. And finally, when you get to the 30s and 40s, you kind of get more stable in the attitude, like not so willing to make war, or willing to fight, or but just to accommodate to the professional reality and let things flow. I think that if you can find that position early on time, it's better, because things move without us. We don't have to move anything. We have to follow our will, but follow the trends and reach the market, how the market it is. You're not going to change the market. And that is something that sometimes you could have an idea that it's amazing and you want to develop it and change the market, but it is most likely that you will suffer a lot and you will find many walls. Best way is to integrate, form part of powerful teams, form part of powerful companies, develop yourself as a professional, and then if things go well, you might progress and make some ideas possible. In the first slide, I forgot to mention. Are you wondering how many years I left the country and lived outside the country, in another country? I never lived anywhere. So, as I'm speaking and as what I'm doing technically and the way I communicate, I learned it here on my own, and the only thing you need is to love what you do. So now, going back to decisions, I'm going to put it in two ways of thinking, because there might be many others, But I would rather say that we have the hard sciences and the soft sciences. Your formation here is rather soft. You've been very well trained in literature and arts, and your skill in the language is very good, I assume. But I'm here to tell you that that you should reconsider the hard sciences. Hard sciences, of course, we can make a comparison of an engineer and an artist, which is accurate. The hard sciences are those that are very tied together with technology, and technology is going to be something that will expand and grow exponentially. So we should try to consider them. And why it grows that fast? Because sometimes there are processes triggered that that make like a chain reaction of people putting their energy into it. Like I'm taking the example of planes. I mean, from the first plane, which was in 1903, the Wright brothers made a powered plane that was hardly taking over. Only 66 years after, we had a rocket in the moon. A rocket, which is a vertical structure with lots of fuel and computers and stuff, which is like saying this couldn't happen in 66. Well, it happens. So many of the things that I'm going to be mentioning here are going to happen even faster than this. In 30 years, there are going to be changes that are going to be amazingly different. So you are going to see it alive, and it's going to happen in your life. And then the other thing of round of decision is about being a job generator or having a job. Being somebody who works in a company or somebody who starts his own company. To begin with, none of both is like the way of going. Both are equally good. You can both make a living out of them. And I'm not here to tell you that you should do entrepreneurship, because doing entrepreneurship is very hard. Having a job and starting with a job, I would suggest if you're gonna have a stable job, which you should do in a couple of years, I would rather suggest you or more give you some hints about trying to integrate good teams and trying to go to companies that will provide you some kind of knowledge that you will continue working on it. I wouldn't suggest you going for the salary alone, but rather picking up very well what company you would like to work on and make a projection. Because at the end of the day, you will have to respond to a boss, you will have to respond to the company reality, and that's something that it's like a skill that employees develop, that of belonging to an institution. And well, my point is, choose very well where you're going to go and who is going to be your boss, because during your early stages, it's going to mark you very well in the future. So you will have to assimilate as much knowledge as possible from that boss, which is your first boss, and how that will influence in future. My first boss, when I was a land administrator, remember, he one day came to me and told me, "Do you know what a variable is?" And I said, "No." Well, a variable is, so there's where my development career started. So be aware of who is going to be your boss and the team that you're going to integrate, because it's kind of crucial. And then when you have a job, you have weekends, you can enjoy family, you can enjoy life. You have a social backup, you have medical backup. You have everything that makes a person happy. which is economical support and sort of a ground where you can stand up and make a living. On the other side, being an entrepreneur, it's radically different. First of all, you are multitasking. You don't do one task and you don't get this to put it there and do something kind of mechanical. You do all tasks that are needed. You don't have a salary and you depend on investment and audience. And especially, you are your boss, and your decisions are going to pay off or damage or jeopardize you. So it is something that it takes courage and skills, and you have to put all of you to do it. There are no weekends. There are no friends after work. There is always this kind of focus and obsession of trying to get that audience to reach that amount. And yeah, the truth is that the world is made of people who do entrepreneurship, and they became famous and stuff, but they, in exchange, they probably give their lives literally. So now we're wondering if anybody thinks that you might be a leader, or on my own, when I was your age, I thought I'm going to be a leader. I'm going to be a leader, I'm going to be a leader. Why? Why there's this need of being a leader? And why there's this need of being a leader all the time? There's no need to be a leader all the time. There's some times in your life that you're going to have to follow somebody who's better than you, who makes things faster than you, who can deliver better than you, who can be a better influence for your person that you will follow. And you will follow that leader, and that's going to be perfect. And you don't have to clash with him. You have to follow him. And there are going to be other times in life that maybe you are in a position that you have to make a decision that influences somebody else, and you start being a leader, and maybe you can shape up and become a leader. My advice is, do not try to be leader or anything if you don't know anything. Leadership is something that education tries always to reinforce in your shaping of education and life, but in outside the world is usually is smashing your head to a wall, because other people don't want somebody to tell them what to do. And if you're going somewhere or starting a new team or a new company, and you want to be like more than anybody else, you will probably find more troubles than solutions. So in this sense, from this slide, I would say reconsider the hard sciences. Choose whatever. If you want to have a job, it's okay. If you want to start your own ideas, it's okay. Be aware of being an entrepreneur, just as it is, because it's difficult. And the demand of the future will definitely be on the hard sciences, because of all of the things that are going to possibly happen that we're going to be mentioning now. And why? When you reach responsibility, and when you have a job, or you belong to a company, or you create a company, there is something that all the world has to do, and that is to deliver. There is something that you're going to be good at. There is something that you're going to provide the market in exchange for money, the money you're going to get. And there's something you would probably get passionate about, and you would be repeating over time. That skill, and that is your product in exchange, is what you deliver. You deliver music, you deliver software applications, you have a farm and you have to deliver food. Everything is deliverable. And everything is deliverable in a time and in a kind of contract, whether it's an informal contract of a word given or whether it's a signed contract, you will have to deliver. And I figured out this while watching an interesting series that's House of Cards. Anybody aware of it? Well, this is Remy. Remy, you don't understand very well what Remy is doing around this future president, but Remy is all the time saying, "I'll deliver." So Remy, who's a lobbyist and an influence trafficant, delivers. So if Remy delivers, imagine we have to deliver. So this is something that you should bear in mind, and you should not miss it, because if you are able early on time to deliver something, you will get profit immediately, and you will be able to be better at it and to become a better professional. So if you have this responsibility of somebody giving you money in exchange of what you do it very well early, and try to focus and do it well, because that will guarantee your happiness. You will be happy if you will be able to deliver, because some people trying to do many things and do not focus, maybe they miss opportunities and let down those deliverers, so they end up suffering because they don't get the money exchange, and that it's a wrong attitude in the commercial life. And what is the key part of supporting that delivery? That it's going to change with technology, and technology will probably change your profession several times. We have an education minister that is all the time talking about this phrase that he is supporting. I'm being supported by what he's saying. That children are going to have 7 jobs. 5 of them have not been created. You are not children, so we can recalculate. Maybe let's be less optimistic. Let's say you will have 5 different changes of profession. 3 of them are not being created, which is a lot. So if we are maybe optimistic and we think that you're going to be 5 changes of profession, this means that you're going to go through the process of learning 5 times. Learning, executing, learning, executing, learning, executing, learning, executing. So you will have to adapt very fast, and you will have to be a good learner. So I think that the exercise of grabbing information, and the information now is very available, making it assimilating fast and executing it and demonstrating that you know that what you've learned is a very good exercise. And if you do it in a small scale, you start doing it now, it's much better. Everything now it's available. Internet is wide, and you have multiple possibilities to experiment there. So learn, and learn. So talking about real innovation, I divided the areas of innovation in 4. These are the 4 grounds that within the next generations and the next decades are going to be massively developed. And massively, I mean heavily developed. Transportation. This is rockets, trains, automation, nano and biotechnology. This is the tiny world that we cannot see, that's going to be very important in modeling the future world, that involves healthcare and genetics, storage and processing, data and energy, and artificial intelligence and robotics. These four grounds, or these four subjects, are all the time giving feedback between them. And for example, transportation is going to have artificial intelligence. Storage is going to have nano or biotechnology. So the feedback between them, and they finally become a status quo or a new status or paradigm of technology. So it is very possible that all of you will finish doing something within this four at some point. So starting from transportation, and this is the place where I have to compulsory fall into the Elon Musk subject. Does anybody know what's Elon Musk? Well, this is a guy from South Africa who went to Silicon Valley when he was young, and he's an entrepreneur. He developed in an early professional career. He developed a game, and then he developed something like Yellow Pages catalog, and then he jumped into the payment system and created something called PayPal. Does anybody know PayPal? Okay. This man created PayPal. So far away from being from becoming a millionaire and laying back and becoming a philanthropist, because selling PayPal is a lot of money, he doubled the bet. And he started doing things that are kind of crazy, and now different from other times where for example Star Trek was the reference. Star Trek. Star Trek has been a reference for technologists to look for new technology. Well, nowadays we don't have to look to any movie. This is real. This is a real man, and Hollywood is in fact inspiring in him. So movies are being created upon this man. So this man has these projects for transportation that I believe are going to radically change the way we transport. And it's not maybe he fails, but it's possibly that he's not going to fail, because what he's good at is at reducing the cost of something, making it more efficient, and releasing it to the community. And he has proven to make that many times in life, and he's going to do it. So the first thing is he's working in transportation is the Hyperloop. The Hyperloop is a train that goes in a tube, like in a capsule, right, with magnetic fields at a speed of 1,200 kilometers per hour. So he's trying to communicate Los Angeles with San Francisco in half an hour, something that would take many more hours because it's like about 600 kilometers. This is a project that came up from problems. Traffic jam, no matter where you live, people in the best countries having the best salaries and the best incomes and whatever, they are trapped into jam, and traffic jam is kind of horrible for them. And the other thing is pollution. Pollution is really eating the air, and it's something that this man is very, very concerned about. He has other concerns that we're going to go through them, but so this train will allow you maybe to develop your profession or have a job in another city. So you will take a train that's going to go 1,200 kilometers per hour, and you can find yourself in another country in midday. So this is going to be possible in your life. And the other thing is much more sophisticated, complex, and challenging. So this man, by the time he finished doing PayPal, he bought a company called Tesla. Tesla, which is inspiring this electric crazy man who lived some time ago. Tesla builds electric cars, And they build them well. I mean, this is not just a car. This is a very elegant car, a very fast car, and a very high quality car. At the back of the car there is a huge block of battery that can make a good reaction. So it was a good product that he made. He was the first one to succeed on the electric car business, and as an entrepreneur it was good. He had to put money from his own pocket of PayPal to support some kind of crisis he had, but he overcome, and now he's a leader in that aspect. But so it was not enough for him. So what he also created was a space company. He called it SpaceX. And with his brother also he created another company that is for solar energy. That now they are doing something called Solar City, that they're putting roofs of solar panel in the houses. But this is not important in the transportation. So what he did was this rocket, the Falcon. He went to Russia and got in contact with many providers, and he was able to lower down the cost of a production of a rocket. And then he made something pretty good with that same concept of lowering the price, which is when the NASA launched the rocket ended up everywhere, in the ocean, in the moon. So it was billions and billions of dollars that were wasted. So this man said, okay, I'm going to land the rocket. So the rocket went up, the rocket goes up to the space, then comes back and lands vertically, and it's not lost. So this was quite something that took him a couple of years. So when he did this, I think that he felt confident enough to do what it's expecting, like the most bravest challenge, which is colonize Mars. This man is going to send people to Mars to build a community there and to start making Mars look like the Earth. Mars seems to be a place where there's a lot of water, where there are these possibilities of creating life because of the sun distance, because of the shape, because of the many variables that can make it possible to. So according to his theory, in about 10 years, the first person will go to Mars. This is all available in SpaceX.com/Mars. So if you go there, and you will see him speaking about this, and it's us. We are kind of we have to feel like it's a privilege to have this man. He could be about my age. This man is alive and is real. So I suggest you go and see him because he's a great influence. So transportation is one topic that will influence your life. Then we have energy and computers and storage. I don't know how much of you know about energy, but energy, when it comes out of a dam, goes into the high voltage systems and then ends into the city. It's not being stored. It is not possible to store energy. Not at the level that is needed for a city or the consumption we have, the huge amount of consumption we have of energy. Not at that level. We can store energy into cell phones. We can store energy into a car that's going to make some amount of kilometers, but energy is not being stored, and this is very downside. This is a huge problem. In 100 years back, an alchemist made it possible that lithium and cadmium together they will chemically combine to keep the energy. We're using the same method. This is a 100 years method. This is crazy. I mean, some things are like we're trying to go to the moon, and we went to the moon in 60 years, and we are not even able to solve the problem of the energy. And this is a problem because poor and developing countries suffer of this, because without energy you cannot transform products. Products are shaped with energy. The transformation of a product comes from the involvement of energy, and then you have to transport your product. So everything involves energy. But what happens? There are some new materials and processes that are going to make this possible, and you will be able to see it. Maybe you can find yourselves in the future that you are riding your bike and you're storing energy, and then you keep your energy and you go and sell it, and you become a provider of energy. Well, that is going to change the geopolitical aspect of our species as a whole. So there are the superconductivity materials that are allowed to keep energy, and they are like magnets that will probably be used in transportation. However, they are used in frozen environments. This is below 0 degrees. So upon time, there will be these materials in a natural temperature, and that would be the place where we will be able to store energy and maybe use those materials for levitation, for like Back to the Future, skate and those kind of things. You follow? Okay. So energy is one very important thing, and I think that you're going to see it making happen, and it's going to change the world like massively. Then we have computers. It is another subject of interest. Why? Currently, our paradigm right now is something simple as switching on and off. If I switch that on and off 5,000 billion times per second, I would be probably reaching the level of this cell phone. So computers understand switch on, switch off, light is on, light is off, nothing on. And with that, we've been able to create miracles. We humans, not me. Me, I was part of this very early because my father is also an entrepreneur, and he was a fanatic of technology. He bought the first personal computer ever, which is the Apple II. The Apple II came up with a microprocessor, which is a 6502, that was one of the things that was sent to the moon, for example, and was equipped with a spacecraft that reached the moon, and was a very popular microprocessor, which is 1.5 megabytes. This means that the microprocessor has a clock with a frequency that turns 1.5 million times a second. And by that time, having a microprocessor with 1.5 million times a second with a clock frequency was like unthinkable. And having a personal computer at home that could do that task was a miracle. It was 1983. This technology has not changed. What changed is, for example, the size of the lithography, which is in a microprocessor. There are this very 100 times very tiny wires that allow information to get stored, dumped into the microprocessor, and then be output as a result. So the microprocessor today does the same thing that it did when it was created. So 30 years of computing did nothing but reduce, well, did a lot, but reduce the size and increase the processing speed. So when a processor works, you have instructions that are coming from zeros and ones. You have data, and you have addresses that are communicated from the RAM memory. Does anybody knows what RAM memory is? Okay. So we have the RAM memory that it's throwing information to the processor. The processor, with the clock, injects electricity, and the electricity allows this extremely fast switching of on and off actually in 5 gigahertz, which would be 5,000 million times a second. So anybody can imagine 5,000 million times in a second the amount of turns that are within there. It's like an event, but this is a problem. Why? Because we're reaching a limit. This has a limit. Because if you do the wire of 10 nanometers, you would be able to reach 5 gigahertz more or less. So they cannot reduce this anymore, because there is a matter of distance in here, and the size of the wire cannot be reduced, because it's the same. I mean, the same technology cannot be applied. There's a company called Intel. Anybody knows Intel? Good. There was one of these founders called Moore, which in early stages he developed a theory, which is the Moore theory, Moore law. Moore, with Intel experience, said that every 1 year the speed of the processing will double. This was in the 60s. That speed, he had to reformulate the theory when decades went, and said that, okay, every 2 years it's going to double. So that's been happening, and since I was a kid, I have presenced the evolution of microprocessors, and they have been growing. And I don't know if you are in the news of processing, that this speed of doubling had lowered, and we have reached a limit. And this is the possible limit of processing. So with computers, we are kind of reaching a limit. So there's going to be the need of going to new types of storages, and new types of architectures. So computers will have to evolve, and not evolve tomorrow, now, because we're reaching a limit. And there are ways of understanding how nature stores data. And our DNA is possibly the best way to understand how a lot of information can be stored into a cell. That we're going to see that in biotechnology. But DNA is kind of the key, in my opinion. My father is more into he thinks that bacteria will be building microprocessors. Trained bacteria can work in the level of the nanometer and could do this. I'm more into the theory of DNA computers. A DNA computer would be, instead of having a 1 and a 0, we have 4 elements, because the DNA is made up of 4 letters. We have A, C, G, T. And these 4 letters are packed into chromosomes in a size of 2 nanometers, and is a huge amount of information that we have in one cell of our bodies, in one cell of our hair, in one cell of our... Everywhere we have one cell, there is all this information about us in a very tiny size. So imagine the possibility of combinations that we can do with 4 letters. We did all this with 2 numbers. So with 4 letters, nature has been able to store information. And why it's so huge, and there's Jurassic Park, and there's a lot of things coming out, because we are realizing our genome. The human genome has been in the news very recently. A company said they scanned the genome. I don't think so, because it's immense, the amount of information that we have inside of us. Just to mention, only 5% of our DNA within our body in one cell is capable of maintaining our body and our shape and the color of my skin and the longer of my feet and my heart and my lungs and all the information that takes care of myself. It's only 5% of our DNA. So imagine how big this is. And there, the other 95% is of our ancestors. Ancestors, and I mean this, from the fish to us. From when we were in the water, and we came out of the water, all that information is stored. So pretty much I think that next generation computers will kind of go for the natural way of storing, which is real and which is tangible and can be done. So this is all about storage and process. Many things to be solved, right? So now we jump into something that might be the most interesting thing of this talk, which is nanotechnology and biotechnology. Have you heard that terminology? No? More or less?
She's going to study that.
Good. I'm very happy because I would love to do this if I were your age. This is going to govern our next word, and this is something that cannot be seen. The nano and biotechnology has a size that it's impossible to be seen. So in biotechnology is the manipulation of genetic information within a cell. Are you getting bored? Good. Our body and our basic, it's made of basic building blocks, which are cells. We are made of cells. We as living things are billions of cells. Within only one cell, and in the nucleus of the cell, in the center of the cell, there is the DNA. And the DNA, which holds all the information of us, we have the genes. Different species has different genes. In human, we have about 22,000 genes to making our body live. So this genetic information can now be understood and processed. And this is the first alarm I have here. I have an alarm on the top, which is a debate. I mean the scientist community is giving, which is we cannot manipulate humans. I mean, that's something that was made by the Germans, and it was awful. And human genetics cannot be manipulated. And I'm also against the animal manipulation. I mean, you cannot give birth to a living thing that's going to have a mixture of cow and pig. It's kind of, you're gonna give that animal a horrible life, maybe, and that manipulation is dangerous. But if you use that manipulation in creating better food, it's extremely powerful. Because, for example, the soya that our country is making a living of, Monsanto, which is the leader in this technology, was able to get a gene from a plant in the Amazon and put it into the soya. So they mixed the DNA helix to allow this plant not to be attacked by insects, for example. So the genetic manipulation is maybe a good way of getting the best of one animal or thing, and the other one has a disease, and we put this gene into this diseased animal, and we cure. So there is cure in genetics and in biotechnology. So biotechnology, we're talking about very little things. And these two are related on one thing, the size. Nanotechnology is maybe in the same size, in the same neighborhood as biotechnology, but related to the physical, more the physical element of things. This is DNA, and this is material. Nanotechnology is the manipulation of material at a nanometer scale. And what is a nanometer? Nanometer is an amazing measurement size that cannot be seen. It's a billionth of a meter. A nanometer is a very, very, very tiny particle that is almost an atom. So here we have a scale, we have this ball which is half a meter. We have the fly, we have a hair. A hair contains about 60,000 nanometers. One hair. So you have one hair, inside there are 60,000 nanometers. Our nails grow at a rate of 1 nanometer per second. We have a nail, it's growing now 1 nanometer per second. So imagine how tiny this is. It's unbelievable, but it's true. So we have bacteria. Bacteria is a little bit bigger. This is 10 minus 4 meter. DNA, we are reaching the level of nanometer. DNA has 2 or 3 nanometers. So imagine, in a cell, all the information of our body in 3 nanometers. So it's kind of amazing. So the nanotechnology is something that possibly alchemists worked in the past. For example, the windows of the churches that are colored, that's made out of nanotechnology. They didn't know, but they did nanotechnology. It turns out that nanotechnology in itself, it's like a new science because the materials behave differently. They have a different color, they have a different boiling temperature, they react different. So it's like discovering a new world. The chemistry was the world of the real material. Then scientists realized that within the nano size, things reacted different. So it is a different world. And it's a world that can be achieved through 2 ways, in my opinion. There are 2 ways of reaching nanotechnology. One is the chemistry, which is the manipulation of naturally melting materials. You do it out of the table. You know the table, right? Yeah. Well, now the chemistry is coming to a new episode in life, and chemistries are kind of going to be heroes because they have this possibility of melting things at a nano level and providing real solutions for real problems. We can kill the earth heating with nanotechnology. We can improve the combustion of an explosion in a car with nanotechnology. I mean, many things are going to come from there, and it's invisible, so it's very practical. And the other way of going to nanotechnology is the machinery. As long as you have a chisel, tiny as a micron, to shape a nanometer, you're going to have a machine making gears, for example. You see the gears? Those are nano gears. And that's possibly a bacteria, which is over there. So we have this size of shaping. This is pretty much incredible. And what we can do is, yes, we could build an army of robots that get into my blood and cure me from cancer. Yes, It is possible. And they are building on it, and there's going to be a solution for that, and you're going to have it. Actually, medicine is very, it's like prehistoric now, because, for example, cancer, how we treat cancer now, we nuke that person with radiation. We throw radiation to, we could be very, very specific to this level. Medicine will grow enough to provide solutions on that. So this is the last subject. Artificial intelligence is a machine learning. It's a machine learning out of some kind of stimulus, some kind of input. The first record I know is a computer that IBM built with Deep Blue, which learning from Kasparov, who was by that time the champion of chess. The deep learning defeated Kasparov, and nowadays we have this new discussion, which is the new debate, right? The second debate, which is an ethical debate, the same as when I was mentioning the biotechnology manipulating human genes, which is what happens if we provide power to computers who can learn that can turn against us. And this is a real discussion. I'm joking. And there are two people from the scientist community that are concerned. One is Elon Musk, the one that I mentioned before, and the other one, Hawkins. And they have a real concern because they understand how much you can do with artificial intelligence. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is being used by Google, Facebook, and they are using it to learn from the user. When you're using a cell phone, there's a computer on the other side learning from you, learning about what you like, what you don't like, what you do, what you don't do, and that is being stored and then used to give you products or sell you things. So it's being used commercially. Elon Musk created a project that is called OpenAI, which is a democratic project. They try to open the standard for not making it private, which is what he's fearing. This man is fearing that somebody can do something wrong with it, and it's possible. And then we have Google with a project called TensorFlow, which is amazing. I've been doing imagery recognition with cameras, so I'm interested in understanding, for example, if a picture, there is a tree, there is a horse, there is a dog, or a house. You can work with huge patterns that understand, for example, if an image is one thing or another, and I will use it commercially, right? And other things in artificial intelligence is like Facebook has released a bot, which is something that you can chat with. So you chat with a computer, and that computer answers back questions according to a logic that's been previously loaded and can be programmed. So this is for the hands of development now. In any kid of your age that has the will of getting into this technology, you go to the page, you download it, and you start using it. That's plain and simple. So artificial intelligence is not a myth. It's not something that could be. It is here, and it is usable, and you can use it. I will use it. As bigger the computer is, as more artificial intelligence can do. That's why this was early on time in hands of Deep Blue and IBM, because they had these huge frameworks. With a huge framework, a computer could be smarter. So if we consider what I was previously talking about, how the computers will evolve and maybe go into a more natural way of storing and processing, this will grow exponentially. I think that there's going to be an elimination of the interface. Nowadays, the interface is it's cumbersome. Having to type into the cell phone, it's something odd, and you get trained to do it, but it's not practical. It is most likely that the interfaces will finally disappear, and we will have a connection with our cortex that's gonna pretty much allow us to interact with computers. This is far away in the future, but you're going to see it, and it's going to happen. And then robotics. Robotics is a terminology that was started from Isaac Asimov book. There was no such industry as robotics, but early on time, Line Productions invested in that technology and made the complete automation of an industry, for example. There are industries working with the light turned off, and there's robots inside doing the job of people. And they can be trained, and they will do anything you teach them to do. That's why this industry was deeply developed for the line production. Now, what you are going to see in your life, the invasion of the household. Robots invading our house and taking care of the trivial things, taking care of what we do not want to do. It's going to be present in the transportation. Transportation is going to be all robotized. And I think that the elder people are going to be the ones that will have the best experience with robots, because Japanese influence is hot. It's huge. I mean, the Japanese are obsessed with robots. They make robots become bipedal and try to mimic human. I think that's useless. It's useless to invest that amount of money in robots that walk. It will ultimately generate a walking companion for an elder to help in the disabilities. But to my opinion, this is something more commercial than real, and will take lots of years until we find robots at our places. So this is the end of these 4 subjects. I have spoken about this subject very little. Each one of them are huge, immense. You can read, you can learn, you can make a profession of any of those, or you can know about all of them and interact with them. We will possibly do. So now this is kind of my personal forecast, and considering your age, I've started playing with some ideas. I truly believe that if you are passionate for information, you're gonna end up having ideas from that information. Once I was reading my year of birth at Wikipedia. It is 1973. It was a hell of a year. Vietnam War ended. Here in Latin America, we had the military governments all around. Allende was killed in Chile. We have the petrol crisis, which influenced the world heavily. So I got this idea of what a heavy year was 1973. Several months after, I came across 1945. It was the end of Second World War. Hitler died. There was a huge change in the world because the Allies won, and that made a division. So then I realized that if we move below, we're going to have 1917, which is the end of the First World War. So then I found there was a pattern. So I moved up, and there was 2001, which is the Twin Towers. And I said, hey, there's a pattern. And I found it myself. Nobody taught me this. So it seems to be that there is a pattern of 28 years where heavy things happen in the world. Things that change the world radically and that turns around the table. By 2029, if you are 17 around, you're going to be 30. Yeah? Am I correct? 30 years. That is a peak in life. 30 years. That is kind of the best moment. That is Christ, let's say. So, if we consider that this is the rule of life. I made a rule for life. Everybody see it? That's the rule of life. You're going to be here, right? So you will possibly go through 2 change of eras. So you're going to have at least 2 changes, massive changes in life. You're going to see them and they're going to happen. And when they happen, you're going to be like astonished. The same thing that happened to me when I saw the towers falling. I went out of university in Núñez to my work, because I worked, and I went to university in the morning and worked in the afternoon, and I was having lunch at a restaurant, and I saw the towers falling, and I saw it, and it happened. Things happen. Real world things happen. So, and it was shocking for all of us. So, you're going to see shocking things happen. And they're going to change your family, your community. Things are going to change. Now, here, why there is this 120? You're wondering. It is possible. Nanotechnology, biotechnology, gene manipulation, everything that I've been through will possibly influence your life in order for you to reach 120 years. And I bet you will. Because there's going to be so much innovation in this small world that I've mentioned, that we're going to be able to cure almost everything. And that's going to happen. If we put together, we pack together the geopolitical changes of 28 years, and we take into account the 4 subjects that I've spoken, and we put them all together, this means that your world is going to be changing heavily. So you will have to get ready. And I'm not here to raise the alarm or make you feel afraid. You don't have to feel afraid. There's nothing to be afraid of. You will have to learn a lot, and you have to adapt fast. So, some ideas, and to finish before we run into QA. Try to make mistakes fast in order to wake up faster. And most important, so many changes, there are going to be plenty of opportunities. Plenty of opportunities to recycle yourself and change your skin, whatever. There's going to be a lot of things going on. Falling is something that will generate wisdom in you. Not falling or not having failures is it's impossible. The best out of a failure is how much you learn. You learn a lot. So life's going to bring up new opportunities all the time. Rely on your network. It is most likely that some of you will work together. It is most likely that there will be a network of people that is compounded by you, that is supportive among yourselves to make to be a better professional and to support the other. I'm in contact with all the people that I've been in class. I have a WhatsApp group with them that I think we are the only ones who do that, but many of you, between you, are going to be partners, are going to be co-workers, are going to go through life, and my suggestion is to attach to your community. Rely on your community, because the favors that you've been given from your community, you give them back, and that is an ecosystem. And contacts, having contacts and moving through contacts is like the more consistent way of reaching a better job, a next opportunity, and whatever you dream of doing. So now for finishing, how about Argentina? Considering all that I've been speaking, there's going to be transportation fast anywhere. You're going to be able to release a product to any place in the world. Argentina is a good place to be. We will have to solve some political changes, some ways of thinking, but assuming the demand of food that the world's going to need, and our possibilities and our entrepreneurship, which is huge, if we do learn and we become experts in the soil and the food, that's a way of becoming a developed country. That's my opinion. So this is the end. Thank you very much. If anybody has a question, I would love to answer. Remember, I've been through 4 subjects: transportation, biotechnology, nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, robotics, and storage.